between fighting terrorism and terrorists. Terrorists you can eliminate through kinetic actions. Terrorism are the fault lines, the issues that are exploited. Terrorism doesn't happen in a vacuum. Who are terrorists? Do they start terrorism? Not really. They perpetuate it, they benefit from it, but they exploit existing fault lines. They exploit existing failures in the system. Let's take example of Balochistan, for example. Under the ground, it's the richest part of Pakistan. It has trillions of dollars of wealth. Above ground, it's inhabited by the poorest, by the most backward people. It's a perfect culling field for terrorism. You talk about democracy, the people over there are totally disenfranchised. There is a serious disconnect between people supposedly reflecting the public opinion, but they're always chosen and selected by the establishment. That's a fact. And the reason is because it's seen from the security paradigm. And when you see things purely from a security paradigm, then the result is also, black and white operations and totally with a military mind. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. The civilian society doesn't work that way. And that's the biggest issue there is. There are issues like, we have two frontline states. One is Balochistan, the other is KP. I'll quickly touch both things. The serious issue in Balochistan is mixing people. It is an issue, we can deny it's there, but it's the issue that's exploited the most. I talked to two former army chiefs, and I said, why is this an issue over there? I talked to one gentleman, you'll understand who it was, who was also the DGIS and also the DGMI. मैंने कहा यार बताएं तो सही issue क्या है? उन्होंने कहा one of the biggest issues is that the ISI and MI, they don't have arrest powers. What happens is we investigate, we catch terrorists and we catch legitimate terrorists, then we have to hand them over to the police. We gave the sub-inspector, we gave him all the documents and everything. Now when that guy goes before the court, A, he is not directly involved, he's just passing on some documents. Second, he's scared like hell because he doesn't have the protection of the system like an army officer would, an army thing would. And so he goes to the court and he squanders the case. He just literally throws it away, both because it's not his case, and second, he can't afford to. He's scared like hell. And asked them, I said, when you can get all the constitutional amendments passed, why don't you get this thing done? It shouldn't be a problem. But somehow I didn't get an answer to that. It's one of the issues. I'm just pointing one issue that is on the ground, and we don't want to talk about it. Now, unless these issues are addressed, I don't think things are going to improve that much. The only reason we still have, by the grace of God, one of the biggest reasons Balochistan is still with us is because it's too big to break away. The geography and the size of Balochistan actually helps us because a few hundred or 2,000-3,000 people, terrorists, can't take it away from you. Had it been a smaller province, unfortunately, God forbid, things might have turned differently. So, what we call in Urdu, geography ka jabar, hamare haq mein hai. But that doesn't mean that we should keep taking things for granted. We can blame it for India. We can blame we all know one Gulf state also spends a lot of money. One former DGSI confirmed it to me, even told me the figure a few years back. But the point is, you can't hang a coat on a plain wall. There has to be a hook. We have given the terrorists a hook. We are talking about getting rid of the coats, the jackets, and the hats being hung over there. We are not taking care of the hook because it has a lot of things at stake. In Pakistan, what is the issue? The issue is governance. Too many people, too few provinces. It's a serious governance crisis. If you had all the divisions turned into provinces, you would have governance at local level. You would have things like that. Minister Saab has rightly talked about a narrative war. It should be there. I totally believe in that. But let me give you a slight example of the audience that you have. For example, right now I'm just focusing on Balochistan. For me, right now, that's one of the biggest issues right now. I've traveled a lot in Balochistan. I've done a lot of work in Balochistan. So it's very close to my heart. I'll give you one example. This was about 3 years back. I was traveling in the middle of nowhere near Avaran. In the middle of nowhere. And from the road, it was a kacha road, not even a proper metal road. I saw this guy in the middle of nowhere in a ground, and he had a motorbike workshop repairing things. And I said, "Yeah, what is this guy doing there in the middle of nowhere?" So we drove off. We took off off that path and we went over there. So when I said, "Pucha, yaar, what are you doing here? There's no village here." I mean, the nearest village was about 21, 22 kilometers from there. And he said, "Ji, I fixed the motorbikes of Ferraris. Ferraris are the people who are terrorists. They're known as Ferraris." I said, "Like what?" Ji, when their bikes get punctured and all that, I fix them. And that was his only means of earning income. There was no economy, there was no, he couldn't earn that money in the village. There were no cluster of villages created in Balochistan. Nobody wants to do that. Nobody wants to give up anything. I think that one of the biggest disasters that has happened to this country is the 18th Amendment. They have taken things from the center, not descended downwards. Every provincial capital is holding power, is holding money, holding authority, and the people can go to hell. But nobody wants to make these changes. These are the changes, more provinces, local government, these are the changes that will remove that hook, not battle of narratives alone. Minister Sahab talked of narratives. I was just reading, I brought this article to share with you. I'll just read a few things. Yusuf Nazar wrote this article. आप में से बहुत लोग जानते होंगे. He was the former head Citibank Emerging Markets and author of The Gathering Storm. He recently wrote an article that just tells you the state of education in Balochistan. I'll just highlight a few of those points. It's an amazing article. I think everybody should read it. It was printed in the news on July 8th. Please do read it. It's a beautifully written piece. वो क्या बताते हैं? 90% of the province lacks reliable internet, making online learning nearly impossible. Now imagine this is a 350,000 square kilometer province. It's bigger than many countries. They are backward. It's not built for the traditional schooling system, where kids get up and go there, and your kids or mine kids go there for 5 days and come back, do the school. You're talking kilometers and kilometers of nowhere walking to a school. This province should have distance learning and all that. But anyway, that's an entirely different story. Now, what happens? Of Balochistan's nearly 15 million people, that's all the population is, 15 million, 1.5 crore. That is all we are dealing with. We're dealing with 2.1 million families. We are spending tens of billions on law enforcement. We are spending billions of the useless Balochistan levy. Even if we gave 4 crores directly to a family, we are looking at about 10 billion. And I don't think if a family has 4 crores, anyone would like to live as a terrorist. I have interviewed terrorists. I've met them. They live the shittiest life on earth possible. Trust me. It's not easy to go and relieve yourself in mountains, sleep in caves and all that. There's a bunch that's logical. A lot of them are misled, work at 50,000, 30,000 to 60,000. Taliban used to pay 20,000. Daesh came, they raised the salary to 40,000. And now the BLA is going to 60, 65,000, depending on a foot soldier and all that. These are the moving roads. Anyway, so 15 million people, 51% are under 15. Out of those 15 million. Of those aged 5 to 15, 3.4 million, that is 69%, are out of school. It's the highest rate in the country. 69% are out of school. And here lies the paradox. In terms of spending, Balochistan is spending the most on students. It spent, in 2017-18, it spent almost 38,000 per student. Compared to Sindh, we spent 23,000, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa 22,000. And in 22, this rose to 61,000 rupees per student. Again, higher than Sindh by 20,000, Punjab and everything. Yet the literacy rate remains the lowest, 41.7%. Now it is spending more on paper, on education in Balochistan, has the lowest rate. But then another thing happened. In 2008 time, Balochistan education budget was 3.3 billion. Half of it went in salaries and half in development. Half in development, half in salaries. Now, by mid-2024, it reached almost 147 billion. That's 15.4% of their budget. It's a big number. But look at this. Only 32 billion went into development. Out of almost 115 billion. Only 32. Rest was all salaries. So there were no schools, no toilets, nothing. So you know exactly how the system is broken. This is just I'm talking about. And by the way, the literacy has gone back to about 3 points down. And they did a survey, and that's very amazing, of children, any one of the children who are in school. 69% are out, by the way. Now let's talk about the other Urdu. Of children aged 5 to 16, 69% are out of school. Girls are 75%. And when they saw their reading skills and everything, their 4th graders could not speak, write down 2 sentences. Their 6th graders could not do 2-digit maths. 9 out of 10 kids drop out before graduating high school. If this is the audience, look at their mental level, look where they stand. You can make all the narratives in the world. You can't change them. Unless you fix the education system, unless you fix the governance system. We can stand here and talk and, wish terrorists to go to hell. Terrorists will always be there. Terrorism will always be there. We have to fight terrorism, and terrorists will diminish unless we address these root causes. And these are serious causes. These require serious structural changes. We don't have the will. That's the only issue. The federal government grudgingly gave powers to the provincial governments. Provincial governments refused to give powers to the local governments. Where the security paradigm is being taken in KP and Balochistan, the army refuses to cede power to the civilian mindset. The civilian mindset is so subservient and so accommodating that suddenly you might have somebody like that gentleman, naam bhul gaya, jo hamare Senate ke chairman ban gaye the, Sanjrani sir. No party, nothing, no politics. Few billion rupees, he becomes the chairman Senate. So unless this circus stops, we'll be doing all these things, we'll be talking it again, we'll be sitting 5 years from today. My only request to the center is, I wish you all the best. Don't do anything, just make honest policy reports. Just call spade a spade. And throw the gauntlet at Mr. Tarar and his colleagues. They are the guys who are making the policies. Challenge them. Unless we first learn to accept the truth, we won't speak the truth. And unless we don't speak the truth, then the only narrative that will sell will be the narrative of terrorists, because they are linked to the sense of deprivations, to all the exploitations that the ordinary person in Balochistan or KP feels. Right now, the terrorist is the voice of the local people. You aren't, I'm not, mainstream media isn't. They think they only identify with him because he is the one talking about the problems, and we are denying that those problems exist. Because accepting those problems raises questions about our own capacity and about our own failures. So unless we accept our failures, we are never going to have success. That's all. Thank you.